Okay, we are back for the second and final part of subscriber Q&A. Now, I'm going to try and keep this video shorter than the first one I did, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to include every question that I got, and some of the questions I've kind of combined for this video just because my answer will be the same. So I'm going to get straight into it, and hopefully this will be just as much fun. Okay, so the first question I'm going to answer, and this is a combination of two separate questions, was what is your favorite cheapie or guilty pleasure perfume? Okay, so to answer the first part of that question, I have several fragrances in my collection that I got very, very cheaply, and some are consistently sold at a really, really good price, and never more than in Australian dollars, probably never would spend more than $50 on something like Lagerfeld Classic, formerly Lagerfeld Cologne. But even cheaper than that, and something I used to own, was from the brand Jovan. And look, in Australia, I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but they're basically a pharmacy discount brand, and I could walk into basically any major pharmacy retail outlet here and find Jovan musk, white musk. Even I used to own one called Sex Appeal, which was really, really nice fragrance to wear, and none of them are really more than $10. So I think for that real bottom end of the price range of fragrances, you could find something completely wearable, and in some cases just really, really good to smell. In terms of a guilty pleasure, I did ask the person who put this question forward, what exactly is the definition of a guilty pleasure when it comes to fragrance, and it was put to me that it was probably something that I really enjoy that maybe a majority of people don't find popular or don't like. So I had to think about it, and honestly, going through the bottles that I own, I don't feel like I have one fragrance that I really like that a lot of people don't. And yeah, so I couldn't think of something, but I do kind of have a guilty pleasure scent, I guess, scent thing that is not technically perfume, but the reason I have this on hand is that it was such a huge part of my childhood, being raised by Italian parents and Italian mum, who always in our household, even in Australia, because you can buy this here, always had some Borotalco talc powder on hand, and this packaging has barely changed in the way it looks from when I was a kid. We're talking well over 45 years ago, and to my nose, when I put this to my nose, there's that instant memory association. And this was like just standard practice after a bath or a shower. You'd get dried up and douse yourself in Borotalco talcum powder, and it's just smells so good. And my guilty pleasure is literally having this in my fragrance cupboard. I hope I didn't get any white powder on my nose. In my fragrance cupboard, and literally just to open up and sniff like this. I don't actually put talc on anymore, but I love the fact that I have it and I can smell it anytime I want. So this next question is, who is my favorite fragrance YouTuber? And my very easy answer to that is I really do not watch many fragrance YouTube channels anymore. I am subscribed to maybe 3 or 4. I can count on one hand, and this is a conscious thing for me. I really, before I started this channel all those years ago, I did watch a lot of fragrance content or whatever was out back then. Now there's so many fragrance YouTube channels, and once I started doing this myself, I kind of made the conscious decision to try and avoid watching too many other YouTube channels, just so I don't unconsciously start to copy or feel like or feel kind of pressure to do what they are doing. And in some ways, it's probably been not a great thing in terms of the growth of my channel and its popularity or lack of popularity, because if I'd kind of modeled myself on bigger channels, or maybe I could have had more subscribers, got more views or whatever, but it's not the primary reason why I ever got into it anyway. So I'm totally fine with that. So occasionally I watch videos, and basically the channels I'm going to list in the description with links to their channels, so you can make up your own mind whether you'd like to subscribe to them, but do check them out. I tend to watch the channels of people that I know and am friends with, and also if they're actually talking about something different to what I'm talking about. So I don't watch channels that talk about the same fragrances as me, because if I'm watching something, it's, I guess, to learn something about other fragrances that I may not have tried. So short answer is I don't have a favorite fragrance YouTube reviewer, and mainly because I don't watch really much fragrance YouTube. I have a few friends, good friends of mine, that have their own channels, and occasionally I will watch their videos whenever I can. But I kind of try and avoid just watching too much fragrance content. This question is, if you could bring one discontinued fragrance back into production, which would you choose and why? This was a pretty easy one for me to answer. The fragrance that I would like to see come back is actually from the Armani Privé line. I do not own any Armani fragrance, and the fragrance that I'm specifically thinking of is Myrrh Imperial. It was part of their more expensive Privé line, and I had gotten this close to buying a bottle, and at that very moment, it got discontinued and suddenly was nowhere to be found, because there is Armani retailers here, but they were out of stock of this particular bottle, and I could potentially have gotten some from overseas online stock, but the prices were a bit more inflated, and I kind of, I probably still wouldn't have paid the inflated price, and I kind of just regret my timing, because I had the opportunity to get it earlier and I waited, and I had no clue that this is going to be discontinued. So I have my regrets about that. So that's the one I would bring back, and the reason is that I'm still yet to smell a Myrrh dominant perfume that's quite like Myrrh Imperial was. I remember it being beautiful, almost. It wasn't even incensey. It was quite spicy. It had the type of profile, like there was quite a, like you get when you get perfumes with quite a bit of ambergris in it, and it was and it was doused in that sort of, what's the medicinal kind of myrrh that material is known for, this kind of cold profile blended in with those warmer spices, maybe a touch of a leathery accord going through it, but it was just a really beautiful diffusive fragrance on my skin, and I haven't smelled anything quite as like it at all. So Myrrh Imperial would be the one I'd bring back. This was an interesting question for me. The question was, which video that I have uploaded on this channel am I most proud of? I know that I have uploaded lots of videos. I mean, I've got over 600 uploads on this channel at the moment, and I definitely do get sometimes, once I've uploaded the video and I've edited it and I've watched it just before I upload it, I think, oh yeah, I really feel like I did a good job with this review or whatever I was talking about. And frankly, I really don't remember many of them now, but I do definitely know ones that I feel good about uploading, and then other times I feel like I've just, yeah, okay, I've said what I wanted to say, or maybe the ones that I kind of don't like are the ones where I suddenly remembered, oh, I should have said this or mentioned that, and but I will say I do really like my video about the Dior's Eau Sauvage Parfum, the comparison between the 2012 and the 2017 version. I'm obviously going to link to that video here. That I felt at the time, that's one where I remember I felt at the time I did cover everything I wanted to talk about in that video, and I was quite specific about the differences that I felt I could smell between those two fragrances. So I just felt like I did everything I set out to do with that video, and it's proven to be quite popular as well. Got lots of views, but yeah, I'm proud of that video. It's by no means is it my most popular or most viewed video, but there are other reasons that I'm proud of it. Okay, and we are at the end of this video because this is going to be the final question I'm going to attempt to answer. I got a question from someone who was new to the world of collecting perfumes, smelling perfumes, and her question was around being overwhelmed about finding a favorite perfume and what advice I would have. So I'm going to try and answer it like this. I guess it really depends on. No, actually, I'm going to be blunt about this. I think if you're going to start smelling a bunch of perfumes, you should actually forget about the notion of finding your one signature scent, because you might think you have, and then you realize that you've become addicted to smelling all the new perfumes, and you've worked out how to find samples, and social media is your enemy in this case. If, however, you want some kind of, I guess, guidelines or methodology to go about smelling stuff and not be overwhelmed about it, here's the first thing I would say. If your first point of entry is a department store fragrance counters, the first thing I would say to you is limit yourself to maybe 2, 3, 4 different fragrances at a time, smelling in that environment, okay? Do not trust what you're smelling in the store on a blotter, okay? If you don't have any choice, pick 1 or 2 fragrances and spray them on your skin or on the back of your hand. Maybe have one on this hand, one on the other hand, because I've done this before as well, and I've ended up purchasing fragrances based on what was happening on my skin hours later when I was back home and I could pay attention to how it was wearing. So the first thing is, do not try too many perfumes in a department store fragrance counter, no matter how many things are pushed onto you by a sales associate. If you happen to smell something that you might be interested in on a blotter, then make a decision, smell 1 or 2 on your skin and leave the department store and go about your day and see what happens on your skin. So that would be my advice if you're in that environment. Now, then the next step to that is, if you read about fragrances or watch a YouTube video about a particular fragrance and you would like to try it, there are now lots of places online that you can buy samples of those fragrances. So I'm always going to recommend not blind buying perfumes, even though we all have done it. But please just be wary of your budget and the fact that, you know, you could be buying something that you don't love and then you have the hassle of trying to get rid of it again. I used to blind buy a lot early days, and I've gotten rid of a lot of bottles over the last 5 or 6 years. And now wherever I can, I get a sample and finish that sample before I decide whether I want any more of it. So fragrance Facebook groups is like where you can find a lot of samples. There are a lot of dedicated websites like the Fragrance Decamp Boutique that I've purchased from before, so I'll leave a link to them in the description as well. But the best piece of advice I can tell you is to take your time. Don't feel like you have to buy bottles. Don't feel pressured to buy bottles. Do lots of sampling. Read lots of reviews on websites and figure out what you might like first, and then you can make a more educated choice on what you might like to sample based on that. But really the worst thing you can do is make a snap decision because just after you've smelled 10, 15 different things in a department store, your nose is going to be like zonked out and your brain will follow suit, and then your wallet will hurt and you may have some regrets. So please, patience, take your time. Perfume's not going anywhere, and try and avoid FOMO as much as you can with this hobby. And you'll find your own style and taste, and then you make better informed decisions based on that. That's all the advice I can give you. But again, you're free to throw that all out the window and do whatever you like. So I'm not here to tell people what to do. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon in another video. This was kind of fun for me, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Bye for now.